Good morning. Here we are at Mindful Camp in Sedona 2018, and we actually have another step van for you from Seven Gray, who has his channel Seven Wonders the World, and we're going to get a tour. Seven.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I have been following your build for a while, and now we had the pleasure to actually experience it in the wild. And what can you tell us about it?
This is a 1996 Grumman Olson step van. It's built on a Freightliner MT45 frame, and I bought it about a year ago in April of last year. And I've been slowly building it. I moved into it the day that I bought it and was just sleeping on a bare aluminum floor. I bought some cushions later that day and a sleeping bag that I had with me, and just sort of have been building it from there. So I'm probably about 50% through my build, and it's been quite a journey for me because I'm a beginner at all this stuff and I'm just trying to learn as I go. And so that's most of what you've seen on my videos are my trials and triumphs and the stress that's been coming along with that, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
Your van is quite a bit longer than Paul's step van.
I'm not sure how long Paul's is. Step vans are measured from behind the driver's seat. Mine's called an 18-foot step van.
His is a 14.
Okay, so mine is 4 feet longer. The standard is the 14 feet because 14 feet plus the distance from behind the driver's seat to the front bumper will give you 22 feet. And 22 feet in the United States is the distance between a parking space on a parallel parking, like the side of a street. So most step vans are going to be what's called a 14-foot step van so that they can fit into a standard parking spot. Mine will not. Mine takes a parking spot and a half, which is not what I'd recommend for most people.
Mm-hmm. And that's because they're mostly used as like short distance delivery vehicles.
Exactly, yes. In fact, mine has city gears in it, which makes it not so comfortable for going on the highway. I typically drive at 50 miles an hour, sometimes 55.
Okay, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Tracy will do her own part of the interview, which is going into probably different details that I would go to. But you recently did your solar system, so tell us a little bit about that.
So I tried to go for stealth solar, so you can barely see it on the sides up there. I used angle aluminum to attach it and hold it down. But I have two panels up there. They're 355 watts apiece. They're Hyundai panels, and they're hooked in series going into a power box inside. And I'm using a Midnight Classic Solar 150 SL charge controller, which changes the voltage from those, which is about 85 volts, down to 12 volts, and converts everything to exactly what the battery wants and does staged charging. It's a really, really nice unit. And then that goes into a bank of batteries, and I have golf cart batteries. These are specially made for solar. There's 6 volts each. There's 4 of them. They're Trojans, and they're hooked 2 in series and 2 in parallel to give me 450 amp hours of power, which is really great. The other night we actually had a movie night.
On the side of the step van.
Yes, on the side of the step van, which was super fun. And it took 10% of my battery bank power to run a 2-hour movie for the group here, which was really fun.
Well, let's take a closer look. Oh yeah, there you go. Technology. So let's first do a little shot here of the whole living space, but Tracy's going to go into more detail there. But let's look at your technology. So there it is.
This is the charge controller I was talking about that does all the magic of converting the power from the panels into what's needed for the batteries. Over here is an inverter. This is an Ames inverter. It's 2,000 watts. It looks huge because, well, this is really heavy duty. It's a pure sine wave, and it's a 6,000 watt peak. And it also has a charger on it, so if you plug into shore power, I can charge my batteries with this as well. So it's a pretty nice one.
Did Paul and you have the same idea? Did you steal ideas from each other? Because it's pretty much the same system.
Yes, Paul has the same system as mine. I love to watch YouTube channels, and I follow a channel called Adventure in a Backpack. And they did a build using all of this equipment, except different panels and different batteries. So I copied their build and did a video, and Paul watched my video, and then I met Paul at the RTR, and he was starting to put together his components, and I showed him the panels. He bought the exact same panels, the same components as me, so both of our builds are based on Adventure in the Backpack. Paul got his basically from mine and the idea from it, and it just followed the same pattern. So.
Right. Well, if you want to learn more about it, I will link Seven's channel, and he has a super detailed videos about the build. So that's very helpful for people who want to replicate the same kind of system. And then I see like this fun gauge here. So is this you? No, this is not the voltage.
This is a temperature gauge, and when I was staying with Giuseppe in Blythe, he gave me this gauge. Giuseppe is a friend of mine. He helped me with some of the electric wiring and things and setting up the solar. So Giuseppe and another friend, Scott, are the two people pretty much who helped me build this.
You should get another voltage gauge in the same kind of style and populate this panel with like...
I actually have one. I have another one. I still have to wire it up, and it is a very, very old one from maybe 1910.
Yeah. And then let's swing around and take a look at this cap. Wow, look at that.
So this is the standard cab. I've had a couple of additions that I've added to it, but step vans do not have air conditioning. This is my air conditioning here. It's just a fan. And then you have doors that you can open on the sides while you're driving, because the doors don't swing out. They go into pockets, so you can drive around with your doors open, which is sort of cool and really fun. And the only thing really I've added up here is this switch here, which is for an automatic charge relay. This is from Blue Sea Systems, mostly for boats. And this is my second unit. I've killed two of them, and I have another replacement on the way. So I'll be installing my third, but basically allows me to combine the batteries or separate them so that I'm able to charge from the alternator to my battery bank on a cloudy day like today.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a speed restriction like Paul, or does it go a little bit more than 60 miles?
I can go faster, but because I have a 4-speed automatic and I have city gears, really the engine is really high on the RPMs when you get above 60 miles an hour. So I just don't drive that fast. I drive 50 to 55.
Doesn't have an exhaust brake?
No, not like traditional, like large semi-tractor trailer.
Okay. All right. Well, and you're planning to run this on vegetable oil eventually?
I would love to run it on waste vegetable oil. I don't know, after seeing Giuseppe's system in detail, that I have the mechanical skill to do that. I'd love to do it. If I can get to that skill level, I will. But right now, I'm overwhelmed by just learning how to do this basic solar stuff and care for the diesel engine as it is. So we'll have to see.
Okay, well, thanks so much. I'll hand it over to Tracy, and she can do more about your living arrangements.
Okay. Hi, Seven.
Hello.
I just woke up a little bit ago, so I'm a little bit out of it. Okay, so now I'm going to swoop in here, and we're going to talk more about the feel of your rig and emotions and artsy things that I see. You know, something that I find appealing about being inside is I'm reminded of a hostel. I know you've traveled a whole lot, and it's got that sort of cozy minimalism that, I mean, I feel like I could look out the window and I could see, you know, different mountains, whether it's, I haven't traveled extensively like you, but like whether it's the Himalayas or what have you, I just feel like we could be just about anywhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for those of you watching this video who have not traveled a lot outside of the United States and Canada, most of the accommodations for travelers are going to be hostels. It's really only Americans and Canadians that like to stay in hotels. And hostels are bunk bed type accommodations, usually with a common room. and they decorate them very, very eclectically. And so a lot of the decor in here is similar to a hostel, so that's a great observation. And it's usually stuff like pallet wood and reclaimed items and just sort of an artsy vibe. And I really enjoy that, and that reminds me of travel, and I think I've brought that into the step van. That was very observant of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally get that. I love your, you've got some books available here. Different places to travel, Florida, Hawaii, different fictional books. So do you always make it a point to be reading? So, no, I think you told me you read a lot.
I read a lot. This week I've read 3 books, maybe 4 books in the last week. So I do read a lot. I've set up this step van really for 2 purposes outside of basically living and traveling in it. So I want to do a book exchange and tea house. So the books you see over there are primarily travel books. There's 1 or 2 that have been given to me that are not travel books, which I'm trying to downsize and give away. So I want to give these books away, encourage people to travel and look at some of the countries over here, like I'm seeing Tanzania, South Africa, a couple of books like that. There's a Canadian book.
Yep, Canadian.
Anyway, so there's
Tokyo.
a bunch of different books, Tokyo. And so I want to give those away and encourage people to travel around the world, which is my personal passion. And then I'm offering tea at the same time. I love tea, I love coffee, but I'm planning to serve tea as I travel. So I came here to this event, to the mindfulness camp, and I've been trying to serve tea most days, not every day. And so that's one of the things I'm excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. You have been serving tea, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, right after I talked about the books, I realized, yeah, you do the book exchange. That's right. So, yeah, tea and books. Yay. And so you're passionate about travel because, is it because the more one travels, the more they realize that we're all the same in a way? I mean, we all have like similarities in all the different cultures around the world.
That is a small part of it, of the bigger picture for me. I am fascinated and passionate about what's called worldview philosophy, and that is basically that each of us view the world in a different way based on our experiences, and viewing something as the right or wrong way, or good or bad, based on perspective. I believe that travel is the best education you can ever have for understanding the world around you and how different people think. And it helps me to understand that my way of thinking is not the best way or the right way. It's just one way of many ways.
Beautiful. Okay, with that, thank you for speaking with us today. And
You're welcome.
We get a little view into your world and your experience and RVing and travel. And we thank you, Seven.
You're very welcome.
Okay.